من أنتم؟ دقت ساعة العمل، دقت ساعة الزحف، دقت ساعة الانتصار. لا رجوع، إلى الأمام، إلى الأمام، إلى الأمام. ثورة، ثورة.
Muammar Gaddafi. To some, a revolutionary leader who transformed Libya into a prosperous nation. To others, a dictator whose ambition led to a nation divided. From the deserts of Libya to the grand halls of the African Union, Gaddafi's vision for his people and his continent left an indelible mark on history. This is the story of a man whose life shaped the destiny of Libya for over 4 decades. From his rise as a young revolutionary to his fall during the Arab Spring, we explore the legacy of Muammar Gaddafi, the man, the leader, the visionary. Born in 1942 to a Bedouin family in the Libyan desert, Muammar Gaddafi grew up under the harsh realities of Italian colonial rule and the reign of King Idris. As a young man, Gaddafi was inspired by the pan-Arab movement of Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser, whose calls for Arab unity resonated deeply with him. In 1961, Gaddafi joined the Libyan military, and by 1969, at the age of just 27, he led a bloodless coup that overthrew King Idris. This marked the beginning of the Libyan Arab Republic.
Backed by a handful of officers, the then 27-year-old captain toppled the corrupt but pro-Western monarchy of King Idris. In his first public address, Gaddafi challenged the two powers that dominated Libya.
لتجعل كلمة الحق هي العليا وكلمة أعداء الشعب هي السفلى. إن الشعب الإنجليزي يدرك تماما إن قاعدته باتت في حيز العدم بعد ثورة الشعب الليبي، ونحن ندرك أيضا إن الشعب الأمريكي الذي يحتفظ بقاعدة فوق أرضنا.
With these words, Gaddafi positioned himself as a revolutionary leader who would transform Libya into a nation free from foreign influence, rooted in Arab nationalism and socialism. In the 1970s, Gaddafi outlined his vision for Libya and the world in a document known as the Green Book. The Green Book presented Gaddafi's Third International Theory, a unique blend of socialism, Arab nationalism, and his belief in direct democracy. At the heart of Gaddafi's ideology was the idea that the traditional state should be replaced by a stateless society, run by people's committees. This system, known as the Jamahiriya, aimed to empower ordinary citizens, giving them control over political and economic decisions.
I believe all the world will be changed into this kind of political regime, which is Jamahiriya. The future will be the future of Jamahiriyas.
While Gaddafi's Green Book was widely distributed in Libya and even studied in some international circles, his critics argued that the Jamahiriya system concentrated power in Gaddafi's hands and suppressed opposition. One of Gaddafi's most significant early moves as leader was the nationalization of Libya's vast oil reserves. This transformed Libya into one of Africa's wealthiest nations, giving Gaddafi the resources to fund ambitious social and infrastructure projects. With oil wealth flowing into the country, Gaddafi introduced wide-ranging reforms. Under his rule, Libya achieved the highest literacy rate in Africa, built free healthcare systems, and provided housing and welfare to its citizens. His crowning achievement was the Great Man-Made River, a multi-billion-dollar project to provide water to Libya's arid regions. Gaddafi hailed the project as the eighth wonder of the world, symbolizing his vision for a self-sufficient and prosperous Libya. However, while many benefited from these projects, others criticized Gaddafi for his authoritarian control and economic policies that limited private enterprise and suppressed dissent. By the 1990s, Gaddafi had shifted his focus from Arab nationalism to Pan-Africanism. He became a driving force behind the African Union, calling for the creation of the United States of Africa. He sought to unite the continent economically, politically, and militarily. Throughout his career, Gaddafi provided financial and military support to liberation movements across Africa, from South Africa's ANC to Angola's MPLA. He envisioned a united Africa that could stand against Western imperialism. While his vision earned him respect among some African leaders, others viewed his ambitions as unrealistic and feared his growing influence across the continent. Gaddafi's rule was marked by intense international scrutiny and controversy. His anti-Western rhetoric and support for militant groups made him a target of Western governments, particularly the United States. However, in the early 2000s, Gaddafi made a dramatic pivot. He agreed to dismantle Libya's weapons of mass destruction programs, leading to the lifting of sanctions and a period of rapprochement with the West. Libya re-entered the global fold, but the cracks in Gaddafi's regime were beginning to show. In 2011, the Arab Spring swept across the Middle East and North Africa, toppling long-standing regimes. In Libya, anti-Gaddafi protests erupted in Benghazi, quickly spreading across the country. Gaddafi responded with force, determined to crush the uprising. As the conflict escalated, NATO intervened, launching airstrikes against Gaddafi's forces. Despite his defiance, the once unshakable leader found himself surrounded by enemies both inside and outside of Libya. On October 20, 2011, Gaddafi was captured and killed by rebel forces in his hometown of Sirte, marking the end of his 42-year rule. His death symbolized the collapse of his regime, but Libya would face years of chaos and instability in the aftermath. Muammar Gaddafi's legacy remains a subject of fierce debate. To some, he was a visionary leader who brought stability, development, and Pan-African ideals to Libya. To others, he was a dictator who ruled with an iron fist, suppressing dissent and leading Libya into years of turmoil. As Libya continues to rebuild, the question remains: was Gaddafi a hero, a villain, or a complex mix of both? The answer, like much of his life, depends on who you ask. One thing is certain: Muammar Gaddafi's impact on Libya, Africa, and the world will be studied for generations to come. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of Muammar Gaddafi. What do you think about his legacy? Was he a revolutionary hero or a dictator who overstayed his welcome? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth historical content.